We'll do it before Super Chats at the very end. We're going to talk a little Mike Hall Jr. in a sec, but first, if you want to make tackles like Mike Hall Jr., you want to bet on tackles like Mike Hall Jr., you better be doing it with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if that $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So his stat line looked relatively pedestrian. See if you want to take it full. Mike Hall had 1 tackle, 1 quarterback hit against the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson on Sunday, but when you go back and watch the tape, mainly the all-22 guys, and G, I'll start with you here, Mike Hall Jr. jumped off the tape. He was everywhere, making Lamar escape the pocket, run for his life, and I know it's one game, and I know it's a very small sample size, but the Browns look like they might have a real player here, Mike Hall Jr. from the interior. It was an impressive performance from the rookie.
Yeah, man, it looked like he started to figure it out a little bit. I like his burst, his get off was great. It shows that athleticism for the defensive tackle position. He's undersized in there, but yeah, I thought it was his best game. A lot of the stuff he was doing not going to show up on the stat sheet. A lot of stuff he was doing, people might not have been looking, but in a game like that, when you got a Lamar Jackson, you can't be just depending on Dalvin Tomlinson and Shelby Harris. That's not the type of defensive lineman you want running around after Lamar Jackson. And I thought he did a really nice job in just pushing the pocket, getting upfield, being disruptive. One of the things that they're counting on is the Cleveland Browns need other playmakers. They need other guys besides Myles Garrett to make some plays. They need other guys to jump off the page a little bit. And he's one of the guys that is a dude that's just not in your gap type guy. We got a lot of those dudes that's just in their gap sometimes, and you just hopefully they can hold down the fort and kind of clog up some stuff. And especially with JOK being out. JOK is the other playmaker. I think Grant Delpit is the other playmaker that they got on the 3 levels. They're going to need somebody else, and I thought he played a really nice game. Hopefully he can keep that thing going because they're going to need it.
Yeah, nice performance by him. I don't know that would mean he's going to have an amazing season or all of a sudden turn it on. But, yeah. I mean, for somebody who missed a lot of time, it was nice to see him bounce back. Again, like I said, it's one game, but I mean, he was a fairly high pick for the Browns that they would like to see continue to develop. I feel like they if they got anything out of him this year, they'd be happy. And they have got some, and you got the most actually on this past weekend's game. So
I'm hoping. I think it's still probably a little too early for me to get too excited about it.
Right.
But coupled with what we saw in training camp, and we had some guys actually, which I thought was blasphemous because it's just why would you want to tag a young player with this? But when you have his name mentioned in the same sentence as Aaron Donald, that might be hyperbole, but wild. Maybe it's not.
That's wild.
Maybe it's not. Maybe we'll find out. So I'm really encouraged by what we've seen so far, and I'm very hopeful about what we're going to see in the future. I think that this could be a guy by the end of the year that we definitively put into the camp of draft home run for Andrew Berry because he needs him.
I want to see more production. Even when you go back when they drafted Mike Hall was always the guy they mentioned for Ohio State. Never really had that year where it was like, oh, he has 8 to 10 sacks and his physical gifts and he would flash. I remember watching one of the original games against Notre Dame, and I'm like, man, okay, I see you, Mike Hall, you doing your thing, and then it's kind of like the rest of the season you didn't see much. But yeah, the production has to get there. But it's baby steps. I think you brought up the fact that he hasn't played. And trust me, after the beginning part of the season when he was on an exempt list, I was like, oh, he might be out of here. When you go on that list, that's a list of no return. If you get put on that list, I'm immediately saying I have no expectations for what you're doing.
Right.
When you go on an exempt list, you can't practice, you can't do nothing. I'm like, he might come back out of shape. Who knows? Come back, get hurt. So I wasn't counting on it, but I'll take the production and a pleasant surprise because I thought he did play well against the Ravens.
Who was the guy they drafted a couple of years ago? Did the dog They did the dog.
Perry
Winfrey.
I was afraid he was going to be Perrion Winfrey Part 2.
Yeah.
Because he got into the early trouble.
Yeah.
And
Much better player though, I think, than Winfrey.
Yeah, I think he was.
I mean,
it looks like it.
And to be a second-round pick versus a fourth-round pick it tells you what they think about the guy.
yeah, it does. But
and Mike Hall.
I'm with you though. I mean,
what he did was egregious.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
like-
And that could have been a career-ending if he was an unsigned free agent. He's a punt god.
Who was the
He's
other?
a punter. Bye-bye.
Who was the other guy they had? It was a couple years before. It went to Michigan State, defensive tackle.
Malik McDonald.
Oh
Yeah.
The guy was naked.
Yeah, it just went. I mean, they
was
got to
naked.
think about
He was.
defensive tackle
He
here.
was crazy.
Like they went from him, and then they got Perrion Winfrey, and he was losing his mind on camera. And then you had Mike Hall. I said, "Oh, listen, y'all.
Yeah.
Hey, listen.
You can't make it a habit of missing like that.
You can't. Here's what you'll say about the Browns front office. Some people, when they talk about character problems, you automatically off the board. I don't think that's a thing here.
No way. We can
guarantee
take a
it's
flyer
not
on
a
this
thing.
guy.
It's not a thing. He was walking around naked, like out in public in a parking lot, just doing the most. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he had literally had some things
Yeah,
going on.
he's
He
some
had
issues,
Clearly.
some issues.
Yeah,
so,
Some medical.
yeah,
professionals.
Yeah, professional.
When you go
yeah.
back and you watch the all 22 footage, specifically from the end zone angle of the Ravens game, G, and Dustin and Jay, if you guys have seen some of these clips, feel free to chime in. There was always one dude in the backfield chasing Lamar, and it took me like 4 or 5 plays to just figure it was Michael Hall Jr. every single time. And even though he had one tackle, one quarterback hit, against a guy like Lamar, like you mentioned, Dalvin Tomlinson and Shelby Harris just frankly don't really have a chance.
No, it's like
Lamar
chasing
gets out.
chickens. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to catch
Yeah,
him.
no.
But against
Mike
an
Hall-
immobile quarterback, he's going to rack numbers.
Yeah, like, once again, the stat sheet does not tell the impact he had. He was like the third most impressive player, I thought, in the entire game for the Browns.
Wow, that's-
behind Jameis Tillman. And
You
Mike
agree with
Bobby.
that? Because I know you look at
He
every
was
play on
popping
that.
off.
Yeah.
Every time you looked, he was popping off the tape.
They need, like, for the Browns.
And they need it. To your point, they need someone like that on the interior.
They don't, like Sean King said, like, I re-examined. I went back and looked at it. And when you 1-6, you have to have some strong conversations because you'd be like, I thought this dude was nicer than this. Like, I thought, like, you know, like, I done fell back a little bit on Greg Newsome. I done fell back on the top end what Martin Emerson is.
Yeah, I think we all have.
They still got one linebacker. They got one linebacker every year. They don't have another. I think, you know, I will say, I think Zadarius Smith is having a much better year than he did last year.
Yeah.
That helped a little bit. But other than that, like, you know, Mitchell is not really, you know, taking the man on anything. So I was looking for the athleticism. So the thing that is really I like in the defensive tackle nowadays is if you guys aren't going to be running the football a lot, I like to get my 3 techniques out rushing the quarterback, and I like athleticism up front. And that's one of the things that he has.